there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Box Bounty video. And in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Vintage Collection HASLAB Mos Eisley Cantina. Now as you can see, this is the deluxe version. It actually arrived today. I am still waiting for my standard version. I presume that the shipper box that comes in is a little bit smaller, as it doesn't have to accommodate this other large box here, which does include some of the other parts to make up the deluxe cantina, sort of like extra booths, things like that. But inside the box, I'm hoping that all of the included figures are going to be in there. All the rest of the parts of the standard cantina, of course. So if you've ordered a standard cantina, this is probably what you're going to get. If you've ordered the deluxe, then you'll get this bit as well. I think how I'm going to do this review is probably look at the figures first. We'll get them all off the card. We'll take a look at them in detail. That includes Wuher, the two Tonnika Sisters, we've got Greedo, and Nabrun Leids as well, the alien with 4 arms. So as you're probably aware, we got Wuher and the two Tonnika Sisters as the base offering, and then Greedo and Nabrun were the tiers. We just missed out on Aliel Shush. We'll start off by looking at the packaging, and I believe that this is the front of the box. Top right corner, you've got the HASLAB logo, 14+, the big Star Wars racetrack design, double racetrack, with the Hildebrand logo on the left hand side as well. And the image of the cantina there looks to include all of the figures that you do actually get included in the set. So you've got Wuher behind the bar, you've got the two Tonnika Sisters leading up, you've got Greedo in the forefront there, and you've got Nabrun just there as well, having a drink. A couple of other characters on the box as well, namely some main characters like Chewie, Luke, Ben, and the two droids right by that droid detector at the entrance there, which is pretty cool. Now I've got to say, when I first saw the box art for this, I wasn't overly impressed. It did look quite sort of dark, if you like, but of course the cantina is a dark and dingy, full of scum and villainy, so I can kind of understand why they've done that as well. But now I've got it in hand, it does look pretty good, and that's the front of the box. Now we'll take a look at the other sides. Back of the box here has exactly the same image, except for the fact that it's a line drawing, black and white, but it's exactly the same, and I just love the way they do this. It's a big nod to how Kenner used to do their boxes back in the late 70s, early 80s. Some of their boxes for their vehicles and things like that used to have this exact thing on the back, which is awesome. Top of the box has 6 separate images, all of which are fairly famous scenes from inside the cantina, and whoever did the photography for this has deliberately made them quite dark as well, because this is pretty much how they were in the movie. Lots of shadows going on, light coming in from certain directions. And yeah, whoever did the photography of this did a really, really good job. Both sides or ends of the box have exactly the same image that's on the back. The black and white line drawing, exactly the same, but just on each side. Even the bottom of the box has some really cool imagery. You've got 6 more images here, some from inside the cantina, some from outside. I do particularly like the top left there of Luke walking into the cantina, and you've got all those Jawas sort of sitting there. And also there's one with the land speeder there as well, which we now have in our collection. So really, really great imagery once again. Back to the front of the box again, I did want to mention that in the bottom right hand corner you do have an image of what you get in the standard set of the cantina. So there you can see it only has sort of like one side of it. You don't have all of the booths and everything to go on the other side. They are in that box there, which I'll just open very quickly just so you can see what's inside, and then we'll open up the main box and check out all the contents. All right then, so this is the box for the extra parts, and you can actually see it does actually say there, deluxe add-on in various languages, Mos Eisley Cantina with the Vintage Collection logo, Kenner at the bottom. And we'll just open that up just so you can check it out. So it looks as though that the deluxe part of the cantina has its own instruction sheet, if you like it. I would say a booklet, but it's not. It's just one page, but it is double-sided. And you can see there that it's talking about the extra bits that you add on to the main cantina. So I'm hoping there's going to be another one of these in the main box for the main cantina, but that's an instruction sheet done in the Kenner style. All right, so this is what it looks like inside. You can see it's been packed in very, very well. You've got some of the cups and things like that, the classic cups. God, there's loads of cups there. You've got some of the pieces for the booths, some chairs here, things like that. So yeah, all of those extra pieces. All right then, let's open this thing up then. Let's have a look. Just got the one sticker there holding it all in. Let's undo that. And there we go. First thing is the instruction booklet for the Mos Eisley Cantina. Wow, there's going to be a lot of pieces here. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be assembling this on video. I think it's just going to take far too long. But if there's any bits that I feel that you guys need to see, of course, hopefully you've all got one of these anyway. But it's obviously showing you how you put all the bar together, things like that. Pretty cool booklet. HASLAB on the back. Alright, so it looks like there's 4 boxes for all of the parts. And then we have this box here, which I presume, judging by the shape of it, is going to be where all the figures are. So let's just have a look at this. And there they are. If you're a carded collector, they are packed in very, very nicely. All the bubbles poking through there. But yeah, I'm going to be opening all these up. Alright then, so we have 5 figures included with the Mos Eisley Cantina. First one up is Wuher. Now obviously if I was to review these by themselves, the videos could last anywhere between, I don't know, 7 to 10, 12 minutes perhaps, depending on the figure. We don't want to be taking up that much time in this video when we've got 5 to review. So we're going to go through them pretty quickly, but we're going to look at them in detail. And Wuher, this one for me, look at the card back on that one. This one's a huge shame to open it, right? What an amazing card back that is. What a fantastic image. But looking at the figure in the bubble, man, it looks amazing. Cannot wait to get this one open. Look at that image there of Wuher. What a superb card. Beautiful unpunched card. And then on the back, I'm going to be doing these in number order. We've got the HAS 007. So this is number 7 in the line of HASLAB figures. So you've got all of the Rebels figures, and also you've got the 2 that came with the Razor Crest as well. There's a picture of Wuher on the back. You can pause it if you want to read his little bio. But as I mentioned, what a card back. Oh man, pains me to open this one. It really does. What a superb card back that one is. Alright then, so here we have Wuher out of the packaging, and I've got to say this figure is absolutely outstanding. We will take a closer up look, especially at that head sculpt and the paint applications on that head in a second. But just looking at him from here, I can already tell it's a complete work of art. It really is. You can see that he comes with some accessories. He has his rifle, which obviously he'll keep behind the bar for any trouble. And he also comes with a swappable hand and his own cup thing there. Not too sure why he needed his own cup, whether that could have been included in with the cantina itself, but it's still nice to have, and I guess it packs out that bubble a little bit more as well. But look at him there. We're going to take a closer up look at him really quickly now, because the weathering on this guy is just unbelievable. Alright then, so here is a super close-up look at Wuher, and I've got to say, quite honestly, I'm astounded by how good that head sculpt, and particularly the photoreal paint applications. That is just mind-blowing stuff. You've got to remember, and I've said this before on multiple videos, this is a 3.75 inch figure. This, you know, the head on this guy is pretty small. Obviously it looks big on camera right now, but the level of detail on that is absolutely ridiculous. It really is. And obviously when you take the figure out a little bit further, it looks even better in my opinion. Obviously when you hold it up super close, you can, you know, almost see where the paint is and everything. But man, that is just a joke of how good that is. That is crazy. Look at the detail on his chest as well, and then just the overall weathering of his tunic there. That is just unbelievable. Super, super good that is. I'm so impressed with that, and I'm actually glad I've opened it. I don't think you can really have the new Vintage Collection Cantina without opening this figure. I know a lot of people will be wanting to keep them carded, but man, you're missing out if you don't have this figure loose. You really are. In terms of articulation, I mean, he's got loads of articulation like a brand new, newly tooled figure would have. Barbell hips, he has splits at the thigh, he has knee joints. So knee joints there, he has rocker ankles, elbows, hinges at the wrist, barbell on the head. Everything that you would need for a super articulated figure, although this barman doesn't really need it perhaps, but you know, it's always good to have it. Unbelievable. So here is his rifle there with some nice brown paint applications on there, making it look like a bit of a sort of, I don't know, like a typical shotgun that a barman might have behind the bar for any trouble when it kicks off. And yeah, that's quite sturdy plastic as well, not too gummy or bendy. And then we have his classic sort of jug thing with some pink liquid in there. and his swappable hand so that he is able to hold it. And we'll do that now. I won't show you holding the rifle, but I will change the hand so we can just see him holding the sort of cup thing there. There you go, just showing you that he can hold that little jug that he has. And I absolutely love the pointing finger as well. That is just superb. That's just mental. So good. Alright, so next up is the first of the Tonnika sisters. We've got Senni Tonnika. She is the one in green, as you can see. And I don't really feel that they had too many options for the card back images for these. So I'm very happy with what they've done with them. Really nice clear image of Senni Tonnika there. And you can see her very nicely in the bubble with that blue name pill, blue panel behind the figure, really makes her pop. She comes with multiple accessories, 2 different blasters. She also comes with her own cup with pink liquid in it, just like Wuher did, and a swappable hand so she can hold it. So looking pretty cool. This one is HAS008, Vintage Collection logo, little bit of a bio. Yeah, great image that one. Again, bit of a shame to open it up, but we want to get this figure out. And I do believe that this one is the taller of the 2 sisters. So they haven't used all of the same parts for both sisters. They are slightly different. This one is a little bit taller, and we'll see that when we open them both up and have them standing next to each other. All right, so here is Senni out of the packaging, looking pretty damn awesome. And she is holding both blasters at this moment in time. But of course, you do have the swappable hand there with the little beverage there, enabling her to hold onto that. But once again, just like Wuher, this figure looks absolutely fantastic. The head sculpt once again looks great. Paint applications look great. We'll take a really close-up look at her just in a second and some of the details. And then really quickly, we'll open up Brea Tonnika so we can get them standing next to each other and we can just do a little bit of a comparison. All right, so here is a close-up look at the head sculpt for Senni. And you can see that beehive hairstyle that she's got going on there. You can see all of the detail in that sculpt. Absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, this is the first time that we've had the Tonnika sisters in action figure form. Obviously, there's like customizers out there and, you know, people that make their own figures and things like that. But this is, you know, the first time that we've officially got the Tonnika sisters in action figure form. And they have done a great job. The paint applications on the little sort of bracelet around her wrist and on the belt, really, really good. And you can see there her blasters. She's got that really small blaster in her left hand and then the slightly larger blaster in her right hand. And these are very reminiscent of Padme's blaster. Whatever those are called. Somebody might be able to tell me in the comments section below. But you can just see some of the detail on her clothing there. The green and the black. Very, very cool. And if you look closely, even the spare right hand has the same bracelet around the wrist. In terms of articulation, just like Wuher, she's got barbell hips, splits at the thigh, knee joints. She has the rocker ankles, shoulders, elbows. As it's a female character with quite skinny arms, she doesn't have hinges at the wrists. And of course, the head will be on a barbell. You don't get a huge amount of range of motion with there, purely because of the hairpiece. But again, you're not going to really need it. But there's still some rocking from side to side. Not too bad. Okay, so next up we've got Brea Tonnika, which is obviously her sister, the Tonnika sisters. And this one is dressed in blue. And once again, great image that they've chosen there for the card back. This one's got a yellow name pill with a yellow panel behind the figure, really making that blue outfit pop once again. She has a different cup included. And this one looks to have like a clear sort of beverage in there. Once again, 2 same blasters and the swappable hand as well. This one doesn't have the bracelet on this particular figure. It has a slightly different belt. And as I mentioned, I think that this one is a little bit shorter than Senni, and we will check that out in a second. Back of the card, this one, HAS009 Vintage Collection logo. You can read the bio there if you want to pause it. And once again, you see the card back with the figure in front. Right, let's get this one open and check it out. All right then, so here is Brea out of the packaging. Nice and close up so you can see the head sculpt there and the paint applications, and it is definitely a different head sculpt, and also the hairpiece is different as well. The hairpiece on Brea actually is further down on her forehead, so you can just bring in this one here, you'll just see the differences there. So they are completely different, even though they are sisters. They're obviously played by different actresses. And the reason that Senni is taller than Brea is because of the torso piece there. So it looks to me that the legs are exactly the same. I'm trying to look at that. Or are they? Are they a little bit taller as well, the legs? They both have that thing going around the leg. I'm just trying to line them up here. Maybe the legs on Senni are ever so slightly taller, but you can definitely see that torso piece is a lot higher, if you like, on the tummy area, which makes her, you know, significantly taller than Brea, which is really, really good because that is obviously screen accurate. Now, Brea comes with the same little blasters as Senni, really tiny, and I guess the only negative about those is that, you know, these costumes do not allow for any type of holster. So if you want both of these figures chilling by the bar, having a drink, engaging with the other people, then, you know, you don't really want them holding their blasters necessarily. And that means, you know, you've got to be careful you're not going to lose those. So I'm going to pack those away in a little baggie, swap the hands out so that we can hold those drinks. And that's probably how I will display them. I did have a bit of an optical illusion through the bubble. This little cup is actually solid white with a little black rim there. Instead of clear, it looked clear through the bubble, but that is actually solid white. But yeah, you can actually see the belts are different as well. So this one comes down ever so slightly with the buckle in the middle, where this one's a little bit more straight. So it is good that they didn't just go, right, we'll just, you know, change the head sculpts on the figures, make them exactly the same. No one will notice, but of course Star Wars fans would notice. So it is good that they've, you know, gone the extra mile and actually made them different. You can really see the difference in height. So that's awesome. All right, so next up we've got Greedo, and this was not included in the base offering. We had to hit the first tier to unlock Greedo, and thank God we did, because it looks an amazing figure, it really does. You'll notice that that is not the original card back that Kenner used. That would be this one. So this is the Vintage Saga Collection version of Greedo, and we also do have that figure here as well. And we will do a very, very quick comparison. So the image that they've used there is obviously, I think that's at the point where he stops Han from leaving, you know, going somewhere solo, all that kind of thing. That looks to me like that image, and it's a good choice. Really good image of Greedo. Hopefully we will get this card back. We did have that card back as well, and that is when they released him in that Cantina adventure set. So I have reviewed a Greedo already. This is exactly the same sculpt as that one, obviously just molded in a different plastic. This one's very basic, based on Kenner. No real paint applications or anything. This one I'm hoping is going to be really detailed. So that's Greedo, and he is HAS 10 in the line of HASLAB figures. Once again, you might want to pause it so you can read about Greedo. And yeah, just a great card back there. And you can see in the bubble he comes with his little blaster, which we will be able to store away in his holster. However, I'm sure most people are going to want him holding that across the table from Han Solo. And it looks also like you get a little cup as well. It looks like a cup anyway, but we'll check that out in a second. So that's Greedo. Let's open him up and check him out. All right then, so here is Greedo out of the packaging. Obviously he's the one in the center. The one on the right hand side is the Vintage Saga Collection version, which comes with a soft goods waistcoat, which never looked great. I know a lot of people that had this figure often took the plastic waistcoat from the, I think it's the Trilogy Collection version, and just put that on this figure. I mean, this figure is always pretty good. It's a good sculpt. It looks like Greedo, but for me, this one is a huge, huge improvement. Of course, this one here, I've just got him there for comparison's sake, but it's exactly the same sculpt as this one, but completely dumbed down. There's hardly any paint applications on there. Even the blaster with this guy is solid black, whereas this one has a tiny, weeny bit of silver paint application on it. You can see his belt hanging down there, looks pretty awesome. And obviously this one has the waistcoat and this one does not. But essentially they are the same sculpt. And that means if you wanted to, you could actually take that waistcoat off. But now we will take a much closer up look at the new Greedo. First of all, we came packed in with this tiny little accessory. I am struggling to actually see it with my bad eyesight. I can't really make out what that symbol is on the front. I'm not sure if it's a drink or maybe it's, I don't know, is it like a grenade or something? I don't really remember him having anything other than his blaster, but if you know what that is in the comment section below, then let me know. But yeah, he comes with that anyway. Something else for us to lose. And here is Greedo up close. Fantastic. Really cool looking figure. This one, so much detail going on with all of this sculpting work. You just have to look at his jacket there, or his waistcoat with the pocket on the back, all of the creases and everything, and then just the creases and everything going on with the sculpting work on the actual sort of jumpsuit of his is quite unbelievable. There's lots going on there, making it look super textured. He actually has two belts. So he has his belt with the holster, which is a separate piece of plastic, and then he also has the belt underneath holding his trousers up there. So very, very cool. You got that yellow paint going down the side of the figure, right down the arms and the legs with his little grey shoes there. And yeah, I think most people that are going to have one of these cantinas are going to have a booth set up with the new Han Solo, which I do have. I'm lucky enough to have that figure in hand, sitting opposite each other in one of the booths with a little table. I think that's just a classic scene that everybody's going to want to sort of recreate with their cantinas. I know I am for sure. But yeah, I don't really want to take too much time on these figures really. Obviously he's got all the articulation, splits at the thigh, we've got the barbell hips, barbell neck, obviously hinges at the elbows, shoulders, wrists, knees, rocker ankles. It's got everything, man. It's got everything you're going to need. More detail on the back there of the buckles going on that holster. Just superb. Brilliant looking Greedo, that one. And finally, of all the figures that are included with the HASLAB Cantina, we have Nabrun Leids. And this isn't the first time that we've had this figure in 3.75. We've had it a couple of times. In fact, we've had this one. This was the Saga collection. And we also had a white version of this one as well in like a 3-pack, if I remember correctly. And this is the one that a lot of people thought, you know, why are you making this figure? Like, we've already got him. They just stand in the cantina. He's going to look pretty good. Why remake this one when you've got a host of others that you could potentially do? And the answer that I have for that really is that this is one of the sort of classic aliens that people kind of remember from the cantina. And I'm not going to say it makes sense to make him, but I am glad that they have made him. You've got articulation on all of the arms, whereas you didn't on these. I mean, they swivel and everything, but, you know, there's no elbow joints or anything like that. And you can also see the upgraded head sculpt and all that kind of stuff. But we will do a little bit of a comparison. He also comes with 2 blasters. Doesn't look like he's got any holsters for those blasters. And also this replacement piece for his mouth so that he can place it in a drink. I believe that's what it's for. Anyway, we'll check it out in a second. And he also comes with what looks like the same cup. Might be slightly bigger. Yeah, it might be slightly bigger actually, but very, very similar to one of the ones that were included with the Tonnika Sisters. Brilliant card back, this one, with Wuher just in the background there. He's standing there, Nabrun Leids right by the bar. There he is in the bubble. Once again, unpunched, fantastic card. HAS 11 in the line, Vintage Collection logo. Just an absolutely fantastic card back. And, you know, I've said it before of these. It is a bit of a shame to open them, man, because they just look so beautiful like this. But, you know, I need a set of these loose for the cantina, so it's got to be done, unfortunately. But he looks fantastic. But let's get him open and check him out. All right, so here is Nabrun Leids out of the packaging next to the original version from the Saga collection. And as you can see, it is a really, really good upgrade. This one has swivel hips, no articulation at the ankles, no articulation at the elbows. I just want to check. No articulation at the knees. So really sort of not a lot you can do with this one apart from it just standing there. Whereas this one has everything that you could possibly want. Just for a FYI, this right arm and hand is only designed to hold the cup, whereas the other 3 hands are able to hold the 2 blasters. So it's up to you which hands you hold the blasters in. Like with the Tonnika Sisters, there are no holsters for the blasters for this particular figure. So if you don't want him or her to be holding the blasters, then obviously, you know, make sure you pack those away. But he does come with this little cup here. Now, the replacement thing for the mouth does not actually fit into the cup. The cup does not have a hole in it for it to go in, so you just kind of have to sort of like, I don't know, line it up a little bit. And we'll do that now once we take a closer up look at the head sculpt. And there you go, there is Nabrun. And look at that head sculpt there, absolutely fantastic. Loads going on there, lots of sculpting work and everything. And I think it's really cool that they did make this bit removable and you can change that up. All of the arms are articulated. All of the hands and wrists have hinges. We have torso movement, barbell hips. We have knee joints, rocker ankles, absolutely everything. Head on a double barbell, lots of range of motion there. Absolutely fantastic figure. And once again, just like Greedo, you can see all of that decent sculpting work on the actual sort of outfit itself, painted in silver. And he's got like those silver boots as well. If you just want to take a look at the blaster, I do believe that they are exactly the same. And, you know, this being HASLAB, these do have the handles painted brown. These are quite a unique blaster. You don't really get to see these too often with other characters. And there he is. And we'll just change the mouth piece now, just so you can see. So you just remove that like so. Put the other one in. There we go. And then obviously, then you can get the hand to hold the cup. And then maybe just sort of like direct that in there like that. I believe that's what you're supposed to do. But as I say, there isn't a hole in the cup for you to place that in. You've just got to sort of like line it up. Still, very, very cool looking figure. Great to have in our cantinas. And maybe they'll repaint this one and get the white version at some point. Because I do think there might be 2 of these species in the cantina. I'll have to double check, but I think there might be. So there you go then, guys. That is all of the figures. As I said, I don't want to go into too much detail about them like I usually would in other videos, because we've got a lot to get through in this video and we don't want to make it too long. But next we're going to be taking a look at the cantina itself. All right then, so moving on to the actual cantina itself. And here we have the instruction booklet for the base offering, the standard version. The deluxe version has an extra booklet or sheet, which I showed you earlier in the video. And this particular booklet is pretty comprehensive. It is very much like a sort of model kit, like an Airfix kit, if you like. And there you'll see that it talks about the fact that you have boxes 1 down to 5. And then all of the pieces are in various boxes. So if we're just looking at the bar, for example, the centerpiece of the bar, the main island, is in box number 3 in section B of that box. And then the rest of it, the piping and all the little sort of pieces and everything, they're in box 4 in C, D and E. So what I'm not going to do in this video is build this in front of you. I think it's going to be far too complicated, and the anxiety of trying to get all of that on actual film whilst I'm trying to sort of look through the booklet, look through the pieces, all that kind of thing is just too much. If you want to see somebody build this step by step, then I advise you watch Hasbro Pulse's unboxing video, where Chris Reef, the designer, goes through it step by step, page by page of this particular instruction booklet. But what I'm going to do in this video, I'm actually going to review the set. I'm going to tell you what I think about it, instead of it being like a video on how you put the thing together. I'm pretty sure if you've got one of these, you can work that out for yourself. And yeah, so I'm just going to talk about what I think is good about it. So the next thing that you'll probably see on this video is me looking at some of the bigger pieces, like the entrance and some of the booths and things like that, and the bar piece, and looking at those in more detail, and then we'll set it up with all of the figures. All right then, so first up we have the main bar area. This is the first thing that it tells you to build in the instructions, and I've got to say I am glad that it is finally over, because this thing was incredibly fiddly, lots of small parts. If you've got, you know, adult sized hands, you're going to sort of find this a little bit more difficult. And I've got to say also, this main bar piece here actually is in 4 pieces. You've got 2 pieces at the front here and then 2 longer pieces at the side. When I watched the Hasbro video, that looked like it was really sturdy, all nicely put together. The way he was holding it, it wasn't coming apart. Mine comes apart so easily. You just have to move it and it will split down the middle or split down here. It really doesn't hold too well together. So, you know, I'm really sort of nervous about even picking up the bar or moving it and things like that. So that is one negative. In terms of the weathering, we do have some nice weathering going along the top of the bar here. So some of the red and the blue stripes that go all the way round, they do have some sort of wear and tear to them, which is good. And also if you look on this piece here on the archway, you do have some sort of weathering that is painted on. So compare this to the Streets of Mos Eisley, for example, and it does have some kind of weathering. Not enough in my opinion, because if you look down here, for example, you know, it'd be nice to have some sort of, you know, dirt and grime in the nooks and crannies and things like that. And it just doesn't have that. It's got a very, very subtle sort of wash, almost like a grey wash in places on these pieces. And that's going to be a theme throughout on all of the booths and the entrance and all that kind of stuff. Very minimal weathering really. In terms of the actual bar itself, very, very clean, of course. It almost looks like it could be in Coruscant, for example. It's very, very clean indeed. I do like the design of it, of course, and it does reflect the Mos Eisley Cantina. You do have all of those very cool sort of canister things, which look like IG-88's or IG-11's head, whichever one, at the back of the bar there, and lots of other pieces that you can put on there as well, such as like canisters and drinks canisters. You get little computer terminals, things like that that you can put on, like tills, I guess, if you want. But yeah, that is the bar. I don't really want to be sort of picking it up to show you too much what's going on under there. We'll do that a little bit later when we've got some more figures in the bar. But I just wanted to talk about that bar first off. Getting the roof on was the worst part of it. So once you've got it all built, you have to get the roof on, and lining it all up with all of the pipes and everything. It's pretty tricky, and even the front of mine still didn't sort of sit that well, but I managed to get it there in the end. But it took like 2 or 3 attempts to get it perfect in there. And yeah, speaking to some other people that have got one of these, they've sort of experienced the same sort of thing. It's not ultra sturdy there on the end, as you can see. So yeah, but you know, as I said, it looks the part. All right then, so next in the instructions, I believe you had to open box number 1. And the first thing that I was greeted with in that box was the sticker sheet. So these are all those cool decals that you can add to your cantina in various different places, on the outside, inside, wherever you want really. I'm not really too sure 100% what I want to do with these yet. I'll have to sort of, you know, decide. But I do believe that you can actually, you know, stick them on and then remove them and place them elsewhere and they still stick. So you can reapply them apparently. So that is a good thing, I guess. Now also was the booths. So I've built 3 of the booths. There is a piece here, like a cheese shaped piece, if you like, from Trivial Pursuit, which is going to allow that to fix this one onto those at an angle. And then the entrance is going to be over here off camera once I get it all set up. Now I do believe that this is the booth with the Han and Greedo encounter, with this little head piece sticking out on the front there. And as you can see, just like that bar piece, we do have a gentle weathering around the edge of each booth. That is it though. It's only on the front. You don't really get too much else. And they have tried to sort of give some weathering in the cracks and things down here, but just not enough in my opinion. You know, if you think about this, this is going to be a corner here. That's going to have lots of dirt and grime in that corner, and you'd really want that to look that way for your cantina, but unfortunately it doesn't. So I don't know whether you want to paint yours. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm sure it looks a bit better when it's all dark and a bit more moody. As you can see, I have put a light underneath that table. They look like this. If you want to get yourself some of those, there is a link in the description below. And also in that box was a bunch of these other tables. So as you can see, you just put the light in there on the table, just like that, and then it glows up through there. These ones are actually like quite a bright white light, but you can get different colours like yellows and reds and things like that. You also get this bigger table. I haven't really decided where I want to put all of these things within my cantina yet. There's another one of those tables. And then you get these chairs here. So these sort of lounger chairs. And then you get these little stools, which I guess you could just have like on the outside around a table for some of the patrons to sit round. You get a bunch of these basically, and they're just sort of just grey plastic. That's it really. And then I do believe there's going to be some taller ones of these to be around the bar in another box. But you get a bunch of these seats. You also get a bunch of cups and a bunch of these little red and blue lights, and they're all still on their sprues, which I guess is quite handy really, because then obviously you can only take off the ones that you want and leave the others on, and you're not going to lose them or anything like that. But you know, there is some nice details on the cantina, these little lamps and things like that hanging off the side, but ultimately it is quite bare. You've got this detail here, but apparently, you know, everything on the cantina is accurate to the source material from what they could see from all of the shots and the movie scenes and things like that. And there you can see I've got Greedo and Han in there. And then you could use the other booths for whatever you like, really. But yeah, this is what it's looking like so far. I'm going to build the rest of it, I guess, and then we'll try and angle the camera from above so you can see it from like an aerial point of view, if you like. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I would imagine that I would have a lot of fun sort of setting this up in various different ways. It's definitely not going to fit in my cabinet in one big cantina. I'm not going to be able to do that, and I haven't got this table, unfortunately, to house it. You know, 100% of the time I need to use the table for my videos and things like that. So in my cabinets that I have to the left of me here, I might just set up the bar and a couple of booths and maybe the entrance in the cabinet next to it and have like a one long scene of Tatooine. But once I've done that, I'll probably end up showing you that in another video. But this is just more about taking a look at the cantina out of the box and seeing what's what. All right, so box number 5, we have the outside of the cantina. And as you can see, this does have a small amount of weathering on it. I wouldn't say, again, it's very dark or anything like that. And we do have some sand swept up in the corners here that's been sculpted in, which is pretty good for the outside. I do like the way they've done that with a little control panel on there. And the little sign there, that is actually translucent. So if you were able to get some kind of lighting behind there, then obviously that would glow up. And then we have this piece here as well, which is just going to join onto the side just like that. And that's obviously where you could have some Jawas sat down or whatever. So that looks like a pretty cool outside to me. You know, it's all made out of the same stuff. The door does not look like it opens, I don't think. No, that seems to be fastened on there. So then we can just attach that. There you go. There's the outside. So that's a nice piece. This will go quite nicely with the Streets of Mos Eisley, except for the fact that it can't attach in any way. There aren't any holes on the side of here or on the side of there for you to be able to attach it. You know, it is literally just the front of the cantina. But, you know, it'll look pretty good in one big scene if you do have the space. So that's the front. And we also have the inside of the entrance, if you like, which is pretty cool. Again, you can see some sand swept up that's been sculpted in to the steps and in the corners over here, but again, it hasn't really been painted. And there is the droid detector. You get one on each side. I believe you only ever see this one in the film, and these are removable, and you could actually fit a light in there. Now, my buddy Dean from the Facebook group has found some lights for these, so if you want those, I will put a link in the description below so you can light up your droid detector. That will look pretty cool. And obviously you've got that blue piece of plastic in there, so even if you've got like a you know, a bright white light, hopefully it will glow blue. And then you're obviously going to need the archway as well, which is here. So here is the archway, and you've got these fasteners on the side here because they're going to attach to the booth. And then this side will attach to the other booths that you get with the deluxe set. So if you don't have the deluxe set, you're going to have these holes there, I believe. But there you go. So let's just attach this to the front of there to make it one piece. And there we go. There it is, all one piece now with that archway there. So now you can really see the droid detector there. So you could put some chairs there if you wanted. I mean, I haven't shown you everything that you get in this set. You get an array of cups, chairs, stools. You know, you may not even need to use all of them. It depends how many people you want to get into your cantina, I guess, and how many seats you want to put in there, but you do get so many. Every box seems to have cups and chairs added to it. I do like the detail of this archway here. That's really nice. And once again, you do have a minimal amount of weathering just going around that archway. And once again, the blue and red stripe that go all the way around are, you know, missing in certain areas to give it that sort of worn look. But yeah, I'm going to attach this now to the booth, and I'm going to attach the bar to the other booth, and then we'll be able to see exactly what the base offering looks like complete before we join the deluxe set to it. Right, I've had to go handheld with this now because it's getting quite a large piece and it's fitting pretty much the whole of the table. I do have some more of the table to be able to fit the rest of the deluxe set if you like, but there you can see the top of the bar and some of the booths. It's all now put together. There's the entrance. You can just see how those booths work on the corners. We attach this little lamp thing there. And then maybe if I can come down here and we can get a sort of a view like that. Now what's great about this is that the backs of the booths actually comes off. So when we have the deluxe version set up around here, you could actually take off the back panel and actually get a nice view through the back of one of those booths. And once we've got all the characters set up and things like that, it's going to look pretty damn awesome. Now, what I would say is I have just moved this into position. You can already see, look at that, the bar piece. Look at that, it's coming away. This piece is the worst piece about the whole thing. It doesn't stay together very easily. You can see that gap there where it's coming apart. This piece for me is very poorly designed. Why could they have not made that all one big piece like a horseshoe? I don't understand why they couldn't have done that. They've made it in 4 pieces, split right down the middle, and as soon as you move the cantina ever so slightly, then those pieces just break up basically, and it's not good at all. But we just zoom in to the bar itself. You can see all of those trinkets behind and things like that, all of the canisters. Pretty awesome, that is. And there we can see Greedo and Han there at the back. Alright then, so here we have the cantina now all set up with the figures inside. I want to say a big thank you to my son who had a lot of fun setting up all of these figures so that we could do the remainder of this video. By no means are these movie scene accurate or anything like that. He's just placed them where he wants to place them. Of course, sometimes we've got some things which are movie accurate with the showdown between Walrus Man and Obi-Wan, things like that. We do have Hammerhead and some of the other characters in this booth here. You can just see there. We just zoom in a little bit just so we can see some of the things that are going on. Now, I haven't got any sort of mood lighting set up or anything. We've got a couple of the tables lit up with lamps. I've actually run out of those lamps now, so I'm definitely going to have to purchase some more lighting. And if I had that lighting, then I'd be able to sort of turn down the main lights in this room just so you could get a good idea of how you could have your cantina set up. But what I have done is I've left these off here just so you can get a good idea of some of the shots that you could get if you are a photographer or whatever. As you can just see there, and that is where this really comes to life in my opinion, where you can sort of have the camera there just through one of the booths, giving you a bit of a snapshot of what's going on inside the cantina. Now, as I mentioned, this thing is huge. It really is big. It's a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be, I've got to admit. And as I've said a few times, I'm no way going to be able to display this like this all the time. So I'm probably going to be dismantling the deluxe part of it and possibly the entrance, and I will just be left with the bar and a few of the booths, and they're going to be going down in this cabinet here and along into this one here. I've got a hoth set up in here. We're going to sort of remove that, and then we're going to have the Cantina stroke Mos Eisley all the way along 2 cabinets. So once I've done that, perhaps on another video, maybe the room tour or whatever, I'll show you exactly what that looks like. You know, not everybody is graced with a huge amount of space in their man caves or collecting rooms or whatever you might have. But yeah, man, I do like this. This is kind of what we've sort of dreamed of, is creating this sort of scene, and now we are able to do it. And there you go. So there you go then, guys. That is my review of the Cantina, the HASLAB Cantina. Obviously, you can set this up however you like in various configurations. It's completely modular. Whatever figures you want to have in it, you don't even have to have a New Hope. You could have something from the prequel trilogy, or even the Mandalorian. You could have EV-99 if you had one of those behind the bar instead, or a Weequay or something like that. You know, you can completely customize it how you want, but this is how I've got it set up right now. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys have done with your cantinas and how you are going to be displaying them, so let me know in the comment section below. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members. As always, your support means a great deal to me, so thank you so much, and we shall see you on the next one.